How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from tonight, which is August 24th, 2022. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was Jay Lethal versus Dax Harwood. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Jay Lethal went over with a roll-up. Well, after the match, Sanjay Dutt got on the microphone and was talking shit towards Dax Harwood, saying, Dax, FTR, you think you're going to get myself and Satnam Singh teaming with Jay Lethal against you all and your big buddy Wardlow? Think again, because this Sunday at All Out, Jay Lethal will be going up against you three. But we made phone calls to a couple of Jay Lethal's friends, and they are the Motor City Machine Guns. So a video showed the Motor City Machine Guns, which are Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin and everything. That was cool. That was after the match, by the way. Match 2, it was Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Colton Gunn went over with the Colt 45. Now, before the match, as the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, came out to the ring, and then Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, came out to the ring. Max Caster done a rap on the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, and Anthony Bowens said his signature line, Cleveland, the Acclaimed have arrived. And then Anthony Bowens told Billy Gunn, scissor me daddy ass. And so Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, done the scissor me gesture and everything. Before the match started and everything. That was cool. That was before the match, by the way. And after the match, Stokely Hathaway came into the ring and offered the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, business cards. The Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, accepted the business cards, and then Colton and Austin Gunn attacked Billy Gunn, beating the shit out of him. Then the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, tried to come to the aid of Billy Gunn, but the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, attacked the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and beat the shit out of them. Well, as that was going on, Swerve and Our Glory, which are Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, came to the aid of Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Well, as Swerve and Our Glory, which are Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, came down to the ring, the Gunn Club, as Swerve and Our Glory, which are Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, were coming to the ring, Stokely Hathaway and the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, retreated, and Swerve and Our Glory offered to help Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, up, which they did, and Billy Gunn, the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and Swerve and Our Glory, which are Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, stood tall in the ring, while Stokely Hathaway and the Gunn Club, which are Colton and Austin Gunn, retreated and everything. That was cool. That was after the match, by the way. match 3, it was Britt Baker versus Kailan King. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Britt Baker went over with the lockjaw. Now, after the match, Britt Baker got on the microphone and cut a promo talking about how it was such a shame that Thunder Rosa is hurt and had to vacate the AEW Women's title and everything. And Britt Baker was talking about when she was AEW Women's Champion, she still worked with a broken freaking wrist. And then Britt Baker was also talking about how Toni Storm was in the match as well and everything, and talked about how she was going to put Toni Storm to waste and everything. And then as Britt Baker was talking shit about Toni Storm came out to the ring and was getting ready to attack Britt Baker, but Rebel and Jamie Hayter came out and attacked Toni Storm from behind. Well, Jamie Hayter attacked Toni Storm from behind and beat the shit out of her, and Rebel came in the ring with Britt Baker. Well, Jamie Hayter, as she was beating the shit out of Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter threw Toni Storm into the ring, and Team DMD, which are Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter, were getting ready to gang up on Toni Storm, but Hikaru Shida came out, and as Hikaru Shida came out to the aid of Toni Storm, Team DMD, which are Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter, retreated, while Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm stood tall in the ring, and Team DMD, which are Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter, were looking on and everything. That was cool. That was after the match, by the way. Match 4, it was Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for the undisputed AEW title. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Jon Moxley went over and won the undisputed AEW title with the paradigm shift. And match 5, and match 5, which was the main event, it was Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, which are Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, versus the Death Triangle, which are Pac, Rey Fenix, and Pena El Cerro Miedo, in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open went over because Will Ospreay pinned Rey Fenix with an assisted Os Cutter from Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay. Now, after the match, as Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, which are Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, were celebrating their victory, the Elite, which are Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, came out on the stage, and a stare down between the Elite, which are Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, and the United Empire, which are Will Ospreay, Mark Davis, and Kyle Fletcher, occurred, and Kenny Omega was getting ready to go in and attack Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, which are Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, but Don Callis held Kenny Omega back and everything. That was cool. And that was after the match, by the way. And that was match 5 and the main event, by the way. Now, besides the matches, Chris Jericho came out to the ring and talked about how last week on AEW Dynamite, emotions ran high and everything, and Chris Jericho ended up calling out Daniel Garcia. Well, Daniel Garcia came out, and Chris Jericho was talking about how Daniel Garcia disrespected him by not shaking his hand, and everything, and talked about how Daniel Garcia went through hell in his match with and the best 2 out of 3 falls match against Bryan Danielson last week on Dynamite, and everything, and then Chris Jericho demanded an apology from Daniel Garcia. Well, Daniel Garcia was going on talking about how last week meant a lot to him because he got to wrestle his hero, Bryan Danielson, and talked about how Bryan Danielson was showing him respect and everything, and talked about how Chris Jericho ruined that moment for Daniel Garcia and everything, and then Chris Jericho was talking about how there will be more moments like that and everything, and then Daniel Garcia was pissed off and everything about having his moment ruined and everything, and then Chris Jericho demanded Daniel Garcia to say that he's not a professional wrestler, he's a sports entertainer and everything, and as that was going on, Bryan Danielson came out to the ring, and Bryan Danielson was talking about how Chris Jericho was bullying him, Bryan Danielson came out and was talking about how Chris Jericho was bullying Daniel Garcia and making him say he's not a professional wrestler, he's a sports entertainer. Well, Bryan Danielson was talking about how he agreed with the fans that Daniel Garcia is a professional wrestler, not a sports entertainer and everything. And then Daniel Garcia was talking about how he has his mentor, Chris Jericho, there, and how he has his hero, Bryan Danielson, there, and talked about how he couldn't take it anymore and everything. And then Chris Jericho demanded Daniel Garcia to say he's a sports entertainer, not a professional wrestler and everything. And then Daniel Garcia was telling Chris Jericho to leave him alone and everything. And so Daniel Garcia was getting ready to leave the ring, but Chris Jericho pulled Daniel Garcia towards him, and Daniel Garcia pushed Chris Jericho down, and then Daniel Garcia walked out of the ring and went backstage, and then Bryan Danielson was laughing his ass off, and Bryan Danielson got on the microphone and was saying, "Chris, you talk about being a sports entertainer. Well, I'm not going to lie. That was very entertaining." And then Chris Jericho got pissed off, and then Bryan Danielson was talking about how, Bryan Danielson was asking Chris Jericho, "Chris, if your mentor, the late great Stu Hart, was still alive, and you asked him who is the better wrestler, the Lionheart Chris Jericho or the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, what do you think he would say? And another thing, if your hero, the late great Owen Hart, was still alive, and you asked him who was the better wrestler, the Lionheart Chris Jericho or the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, what do you think he would say?" Well, Chris Jericho was getting pissed off and everything, and then Bryan Danielson was saying, "So Chris, how about this? How about me and you fight right here, right now?" Chris Jericho said, "You want to fight me, Bryan? Well, you got it. But not here tonight in this dump of a town, Cleveland, Ohio. We will go at it at All Out. Because what I did to you at Double or Nothing when I choked you out and put you on the shelf for 2 months, I'll do it again at All Out. But Bryan, I'll see you at All Out, but watch your back." And then Jake Hager came out and attacked Bryan Danielson from behind, and then Jake Hager started beating the shit out of Bryan Danielson and everything, and so the Jericho Appreciation Society, which are Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, stood tall, while Bryan Danielson was laying out and everything. That was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Thunder Rosa. Well, Tony Schiavone brought up that Thunder Rosa had something to say regarding the AEW Women's title. Well, Thunder Rosa was saying, listen, everyone, I am sad to inform every one of you that I cannot compete at All Out due to injury. So, in my place, there will be an interim AEW Women's Champion. And the interim AEW Women's Champion will be crowned at All Out. But just know, this is not the end. I will be back, and I will be better than ever. Tony Storm, my friend, I wish you the best. And you will be the interim AEW Women's Champ. And I'm looking forward to facing off against you whenever I return from injury and everything. Just cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed the Death Triangle, which are Pac, Rey Fenix, and Pena El Cerro Miedo, and the United Empire, which are Will Ospreay, Mark Davis, and Kyle Fletcher. Well, Tony Schiavone brought up about the Death Triangle and the United Empire going at it tonight in the main event in an AEW Trios Titles quarterfinal match and everything. And then Will Ospreay was saying, Pac, long time no see. The last time we were in the ring together was in New Japan, and I kicked your ass. But tonight, my friends and I, we're going to kick you and your friends' asses, and we're going to win more gold. And everything. And then Pac was saying, Ospreay, you have things twisted, because you didn't kick my ass, I kicked your ass. And tonight, you three are not coming out on top, because because AEW is Death Triangle territory. And tonight, we're not going to kill you. We're going to murder you. And everything. Just cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed The Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, and Swerve in Our Glory, which are Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Well, Tony Schiavone brought up about Swerve in Our Glory coming to the aid of The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn when they were getting attacked by Stokely Hathaway and the Gunn Club and everything. And then Swerve Strickland was saying, well, Tony, we didn't have to come to the aid of The Acclaimed. But we did. Because Keith Lee and I, we love The Acclaimed. Keith Lee said, that's right. Swerve and I, we love The Acclaimed. And since you both are ranked, we're giving you a shot at our AEW tag team titles and everything. And then Max Caster was saying, look, guys. Max Caster was saying, listen, guys, I appreciate the praise, but we don't need praise from any of you and everything. And then Anthony Bowens was saying, that's right, because everyone loves the Acclaimed, but in all fairness, we accept. We will see you both at All Out and everything. And then Swerve Strickland was saying, well, there you have it. We're Swerve in Our Glory and The Acclaimed for the AEW tag team titles at All Out. I'm all for it and everything. Just cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Christian Cage. Well, Tony Schiavone brought up about Christian Cage getting his ass kicked by Jungle Boy last week on AEW Dynamite and everything, and talked about how Jungle Boy challenged Christian Cage to a match at All Out and everything. Well, Christian Cage was talking about how he didn't mean what he said to Jungle Boy out of an act of malice, and was trying to give him tough love, and was talking about how he was pissed off that the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, lost the AEW tag team titles and everything, and talked about how Jungle Boy wasn't smart at all and everything, and talked about how Jungle Boy wanted a match against him at All Out and everything, and Christian Cage ended up accepting Jungle Boy's challenge for a match at All Out and everything. That was cool. Ricky Starks came out and cut a promo talking about how he's had a lot going on recently with Team Taz breaking up and losing the FTW title, and the shit with QT Marshall and the rest of the factory, and Powerhouse Hobbs turning his back on him and everything, and talked about what all him and Powerhouse Hobbs have went through, and how he looked at Powerhouse Hobbs as a friend more like a brother and everything, and talked about how Powerhouse Hobbs is a snake in the grass, and how he attacked his neck and everything, and talked about how he wanted revenge on Powerhouse Hobbs, and how he was going to end up, how he wanted to fight Powerhouse Hobbs at All Out and everything. That was cool. Jon Moxley cut a promo talking about how he had so many doubters say that he was going to lose to the best in the world, and talked about how CM Punk is the best in the world, his ass, and talked about how they were doubting him, saying that he wasn't going to last after against CM Punk, and talking about how he wasn't going to be AEW champ and everything. And then Jon Moxley was talking about how he kicked CM Punk's ass and everything, and talked about how his time in AEW in 2022 is now and everything. That was cool. And AEW aired highlights of the match between the Elite, which are Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, versus Andrade El Idolo, Rush, and Dragon Lee in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match last week on AEW Dynamite. That was cool. Now, besides all that, Jim Ross, Taz, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. Tony Schiavone done commentary throughout the whole show. Well, excuse me. Jim Ross, Jim Ross, Taz, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. Tony Schiavone done commentary along with Jim Ross, Taz, and Excalibur throughout the whole show, except the matches of Britt Baker versus Kailan King, and the United Empire, which are Will Ospreay, Mark Davis, and Kyle Fletcher, versus the Death Triangle, which are Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Cerro Miedo, in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match. Tony Schiavone done awesome as usual. And excuse me. Excuse me again. And Don Callis done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Taz, and Excalibur during the match between the United Empire versus the Death Triangle in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match. Don Callis done great on guest commentary. The referees for the event were Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, Stephon Smith, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Jay Lethal versus Dax Harwood. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn. Stephon Smith refereed the match between Britt Baker versus Kailan King. Paul Turner refereed the match between Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for the undisputed AEW title. And Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between the United Empire versus the Death Triangle in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card that's been announced for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite next week, it's going to be Jake Hager versus Bryan Danielson, and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm. Those are the matches that have been announced so far. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite Wednesday night that's been announced so far looks like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, looking forward to it. And the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage Friday night, it's going to be Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth for the AEW TNT title. Claudio Castagnoli versus Dustin Rhodes for the Ring of Honor World title. The Dark Order, which are John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Ten, versus the House of Black, which are Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, in an AEW Trios titles quarterfinal match. And Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello versus Ortiz and Ruby Soho. And besides the matches that have been announced, Jade Cargill will be appearing live. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Rampage Friday night looks like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it, and I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from tonight, which is August 24th, 2022. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.